Why am I talking more openly now, more and more? Because I stopped caring. And that's a clue for you. Hello, today is November 4th, 2021, and the time is 7:07 a.m. I'm trying a different lighting setup here, so hopefully when I eventually upload this video, it's not so dark. And if I need, I might even lighten it up in the video. But anyway, I digress. And also, before I continue, a few people have been wondering, why am I wearing the same clothes, like the same sweater, for example, in my videos. Now, a lot of times I'll pre-record different videos and then, for example, have them scheduled for a future publication, or I'll sit on a bunch of videos and then I'll just create them and post them, whenever. And the reason why I wear, say, for example, the same sweater, I've only selected a few of my good clothes that I carry with me. I have plenty of other good clothes. So when I have the opportunity to, what I call, dress normal, there you go. So that's that in a nutshell. Moving along, I'm going to address two different points. Yeah, they're connected. I'm just thinking, yeah, they're connected, but they're really two separate points. So first, I'm going to address, I've noticed a lot of people talking about children being affected, for example, with current worldwide events. And a lot of people are saying, that's enough. That's the line, no more type of thing. And again, like, I'm not stating for or against anything, or if anything's real or fake or whatever. I'm just generalizing here. You can apply it to any side of the fence that you want, even the side of the fence that doesn't exist, whatever. So, and people are saying, well, now that children are being impacted, even prepubescent children are being impacted, then, the people are just gonna be irate. Well, here's the thing. When you look, well, let's go back some decades here, where prepubescent children have been hypersexualized. And I've talked about this in videos 10, 12 years ago. And children, prepubescent children, are being hypersexualized, which is mind-numbing, because at that point in life, you look down as a kid and it's like, okay, well, this is what I got, and you look different, right? There's, either one or the other. But no one said really anything. It's like, yeah, and people will complain. Human beings are very good complainers, despite most of the time, other people not caring. But people who care are the ones with like mind about whatever it is that's being complained about. But no one, it was allowed to happen. And that's been progressing over the past several decades. Now, I'm going to fast forward a bit. When you can convince parents that their prepubescent child needs foreign substances to change how they were born, or even surgeries, prepubescent children here I'm talking about, then where have we ended up here in civilization? We are right now in the late stage of the last stage of civilization, the age of decadence. Again, and we repeat history because history is forgotten either by chance or design. And I've also highlighted a literal 100-year pattern within the cycles of civilization that we are in one of the final phases of. That's not the focus here. But when you can convince parents that their child needs these things to change maybe their physical appearance and perhaps how they think, dress, whatever, that's a problem. Now here's where it even gets worse, where society as a whole is part of it. Other parents, perhaps even with kids that age, support it. Openly support it. Well, you know, everyone has the right. I'd really like to know where this everyone has the right thing came from, but I digress. And that was a rhetorical question, maybe a little bit of sarcasm. And then you had, for example, parents, people overall, maybe complaining, but just like, well, whatever, it's not my problem. Well, guess what? Now it's your problem. It's everyone's problem, because no one did anything about it. So if people think, and I'm just kind of using this as a random example, that current worldwide events and what's being imposed and whatever now on children is going to be the final straw, think again, because prior to now, no one said or did anything except complain. And we see that today, people complaining. Watch my video on why social media groups exist. Now, I'm going to segue into another tangent, but very much related, with social justice movements. Because really, what I just talked about was a social justice movement. Because if you spoke out against it, then woo, you were exiled, banned, erased, whatever. So let's, for this next part, let's use the example of, I'm just going to think of a random example here, cyberpunk, a subculture. That was a random example. Now, before I get into my point, some of you might be wondering, what is he talking about, cyberpunk? What is that? In a nutshell, and I recommend looking into it. Cyberpunk is, they have their own genre of music, and it's a subculture where they have, some might call it an extreme attire from head to toe, and they're very much for transhumanism. And when you look at, and I'm not saying everybody who's into cyberpunk are what people would call Satanists, but their foundation and their root is based on Satanism. Cyberpunk has been introduced for decades now into the world through movies. An example of a subtle cyberpunk would be, and I'm not dissing any movies, I'm just trying to give some examples here, but when you look at even The Matrix, which everyone's talking about, and just to segue for a moment, everyone talks about being red-pilled. Well, guess what? The red pill, the blue pill, and the black pill, they're all made of the same ingredients. So that's something else that you should look into. It's very interesting when you actually look at the origins of this. Anyway, I digress. But when you look at other movies, you can go back to a classic Blade Runner, science fiction. A lot of cyberpunk introduction is through various science fiction movies, whether it be very blatant or subtle. So anyway, that's kind of cyberpunk in a nutshell. Subculture, they have their own music, really their own attire that makes them really stand out. Something that it's interesting to look into. Now take, for example, I'm just making this up, cyberpunk subculture has become the norm, say for example with their attire. Now you have somebody within that subculture, which is now mainstream culture, not going along with something for whatever reason, it doesn't matter, they're not adhering to something. You have the rest of the group, and what they're not going along with may or may not be, as a descriptive, threatening to this cyberpunk culture. But others who, especially the diehards, they will nail that person. Not because of any threats to the culture or to others. The issue is that you have one person who's not going along with the rest. And you can have, say, 10 people in the cyberpunk who's, this person, oddball, whatever. But then you'll have that one person that will, out of the blue, just have something to say because they're a busybody. Done a lot of videos about busybodies and do-gooders and everything else, or even over the past 10, 12 years. And they'll have something to say because inside they're seeing that person who's not conforming with the subculture, which is now mainstream culture, cyberpunk, as defiant. And that bothers them because they know inside they're weak. So they're trying to make this person that they're targeting conform. And that's where their real rub is. Nothing to do with affecting the cyberpunk culture or causing any harm to anyone. It's about them. And these are the problems. These are the people who cause the problems. We see this throughout history. And I've talked extensively about social justice movements and busybodies. It's really, we see the rise of the busybody in today's world. The busybody, the tattletale. And we see in today's world tattletaling being promoted, being rewarded. Like we've completely went upside down backwards as a species, as a civilized, air quotes, species. So anyway, just wanted to really address these two things, where you have people saying about the children, don't go after the children. And you go back to, I believe it was like the 60s or 70s, where, oh, they're not going to go after the children, and lo and behold, they did. And we're seeing the same thing today. A lot of people are irate, but all people do is complain. So actually, there's probably a third thing I kind of slipped in there about complaining. Anyway, things to think about. Cyberpunk. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.